And before I get to that, how many of you dug tulips just now? Anybody? Show me your hands. Dirt under your fingernails? Good. That's a great start to the day. There weren't any fights out there, were there?
No.
Oh, I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping for some, Yeah. Good. Well, I'm glad nobody got hurt, and I hope everybody got at least some of the tulips that they wanted. That's a great start to the day. Our first speaker, LUCIAN TOMA, is running a few minutes late. I just talked to his wife. He's at the gate, so hold tight because he is a wealth of information and knowledge, and he's very funny, and he is worth the wait. We have a stellar lineup of speakers for today and tomorrow. I'm so pleased that we were able to bring together a really great group of folks to talk about various elements of really focused on gardening, heirloom gardening, and homesteading. So Lucian is first up, and then at 11:30, our friend Gladney Harris is here. She's going to be talking about how to. She's been an organic grower from the get-go. She's from North Mississippi, and she's been an organic gardener and market farmer for a long time. And she's got some really great stuff to show you, and some really, I think, great insight to share. And she also has brought some samples of her products with, and you are welcome to go and browse those later. Our friend Ray Tyler is back. Ray's a systems genius and a market farmer from Tennessee. He's going to be talking about abundance on a budget, low-cost strategies for getting the most out of your space. I'm telling you, this guy's really got it going on. And then at 1:30 this afternoon, P. Alan Smith is going to be talking here. We always enjoy having Alan Smith here. He is going to be talking about heritage breed poultry and why every homesteader should have a flock of poultry. So that's just a taste. There's so much more. How many of you have been to the exhibit tent? Did you people make their way through exhibit tent yet? Wowie zowie, it's beautiful. All those stock flowers and all the other things. Yeah. Anybody have a story they want to share?
I have one.
Wait! We've been waiting for you. Lucian, everybody!
Yay!
And I thought I was going to have to, call the security or something.
Yeah. It's so amazing to see that there's traffic at the gate. It's the first time in 5 years I've seen it.
I know, we're waiting for you. Yes, it's great to see you. Yeah.
I ran here from Lebanon, Missouri.
Do you need water or anything? You
50 miles. No, I need to go back and then come back. Awesome. Thank you so much for your patience and flexibility. Ooh, look at this. This is so special. I can't even see what I'm talking about. Okay. I want to start with a few things. Can you see anything on the screen yet? 2 seconds. Not yet. Okay. Will you put your hands up if you are a backyard gardener? Okay. Will you put your hand up? Would you put your hand up if you are a homesteader? Okay. Would you put your hand up if you are a farmer? Okay. Or farmsteader? Homesteader, farmsteader? Okay, so majority are gardeners. Would you put your hands up if you are local? Just if you live on Baker Creek campus. Put your hands up if you are from Missouri. Okay, put your hands up if you are not from Missouri. Hold on one second. Oh, wow. Okay, so half and half, basically, right? Put your hands up if you don't speak English. Oh, yes, that's right. My number one fan. I like it. She follows me around the world. She's a permaculture groupie. I love it. Okay. Put your hands up if you've ever seen me speak before. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Okay, beautiful. Put your hands up if you have ever seen me online in some way or another. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. So my Instagram account and Facebook account are gonna go. Okay, put your hands up if you have Facebook. Put your hands up if you have Instagram. Put your hands up if you do not have any online presence. Yes, I want to talk to you guys. How do you live? The happiest people, they're going to teach the yoga class later. Okay, thank you. So I wanted to make sure that I go through as many things as possible today, but I wanted to also keep it simple in the same time. Just welcome. I'm sure that you had a reason or another to come to this presentation. Maybe you just walked in because you said, hey, let's see a presentation. This is the first one, I think, right? How many people came here actually because you just wanted to hear a presentation? Okay, and so the rest of you came because you saw the word permaculture? Yes? No? Okay, cool. How many people have pencil and pen with you? Okay, great. How many people don't? Okay. So what I'm going to talk today about is homestead and farm design through permaculture. I'll keep the farm conversation to a minimum since it seems like most people are backyard gardeners, and then we have a mixture of that with homesteaders. Homesteaders, put your hand up again. Okay, cool. So I'll keep it more to that. I'm going to share with you a process to help design and plan resilient homesteads, farms, backyard gardens, and ecosystems. Okay, my name is LUCIAN TOMA. I come from Sun and Bloom Farms. I'm about an hour and 13 minutes from here, so about 50 miles from here in sunny, beautiful Lebanon, Missouri. If I click this, does it go to the next one? Let's see. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I wanted to invite you to something first. This is an invitation from my partner in everything, life, business, farming, Anna Maria. And that is not a white Doberman, that's a La Mancha goat. And so, you know, she's kind of like in charge in general with just bringing peaceful invitations to any of my presentations or any of the work that we do. You know, I've been teaching in so many environments, including in college, and I could just sit there and talk and provide a lot of information. So she's, first of all, inviting me to take a breath once in a while. And so I will. I've been learning. It's been 10 years that she's been teaching me this. But also, she's inviting you to show up as you are. There's a lot of things that we're going to discuss here. Take what you need, leave the rest. Start where you are. Okay, small is great. You don't have to say, okay, I'm gonna go buy more land and so I can do all of this design that he's talking about. Curiosity over perfection. We're gonna do 1 or 2 exercises depending on the timing, okay? And then ask questions. We'll have time for questions. If you're recording my entire talk, it's $3,000, just so you know. Okay. Okay. So I'm LUCIAN TOMA. Here's a picture of myself with a lot of my graduates through my different educational courses, most of them in permaculture, some of them in college, some of them on different farms, either my farms or other farms of people that allowed me to teach permaculture design on. By the way, with a show of hands, how many people have learned anything about permaculture in the past? Okay, how many people have not? Great. Okay, so I basically, you know, permaculture is so huge. If we were to truly learn the permaculture design process and the permaculture design world, we would definitely have to do almost like a 4-year bachelor's degree kind of class. It's that dense. There's that much information. But we can also do it maybe like in a year if we meet every week and talk about it and work with it. I've taught it in 3-month courses, and of course like the 3 to 4 month like college size classes, mostly introductory. I've even taught it in 2 weeks intensive hands-on. People just come in and they're like so curious, and then there's other kinds of people leaving like super transformed. So it was really powerful. So I have 15 years experience working in the realm of this design, permaculture design, regenerative design, ecological design. I think if I put those words out there, maybe like things start ringing a bell. And so I've been working both with like small gardeners, backyard gardeners, homesteaders, farms, but I've also worked with some bigger systems like university campuses, high school campuses, middle school campuses, church campuses. That's been really fun. Local governments hired me to design parks, community gardens for people. So it's been really fun. So my experiences, I mean, trust me, I really like to work more at a smaller level because complexity is not so big, but it's beautiful to work at a larger level too. So that's me. You'll kind of get a little bit more. My farm, Sun and Bloom Farms, again, 50 miles from here. We're a diversified regenerative farming education experiences and consulting space. So we grow food and we distribute that in the community via CSA boxes. Who's ever been a CSA member of any kind? Okay, beautiful. Who doesn't know what a CSA is? Okay, so CSA, it's a program where people commit in advance to get a box of farm goodies on a regular basis. So we grow vegetables, we also raise animals, flowers, a lot of medicinal herbs, added value. Who's an herbalist in the house? Oh yeah, I knew that. Okay. Who has animals at home that you're raising? Not cats and dogs. I'm talking about, okay, awesome. Who desires animals at home? Oh, good. Who just wants more plants at home? Yeah, they kind of don't go back to you when they're hungry. Okay, so we do a CSA program. We go to farmers markets. We have a farm store in the front, so that when people are, coming to get vegetables, they, they see where they're grown. Vegetables, fruits, it's right in front. People can see it. And so some people walk in and start picking them their own too sometimes. That's why we have 3 guardian dogs that are going around too. And the goats too. The goats are pretty scary also. So not only that we grow food for the community, we also invite people for different type of experiences, educational experiences. It always shows up as an education experience, even if it's a farm to table dinner, and you can see it there, top right corner. So we do those every year, sometimes more than that, and it's with goods from our farm, but also with other farmers, other local farmers and gardeners. I mean, we even source the salt from locally. So there's salt in the Missouri. Okay. We even had this dish that was called Ozarks caviar, and people are like, caviar? Well, we have fish, right? And fish have eggs. So yeah, it is Ozarks caviar. And what's so beautiful is that most of the things that we sourced outside of our farm were actually backyard gardeners. And that was so amazing, because at that level, more people were able to grow food with the type of values that we hold dear, which are no chemicals, work with the soil, produce your own fertility, sing to the plants. That's also very important. And also we have a lot of, and actually, because a lot of you are backyard gardeners, we actually started this idea of having farm to table dinners as garden to table dinners, and we were doing it in our small garden in San Clemente. It was like the entire property was under an acre, and only about 10,000 square feet were available to grow food and have. So that's absolutely possible, depending on what state you live. I've done that research, and so it's pretty funny that in certain places you might not be able to do that really easily without 20 permits for it. But Missouri, it's in different counties are different places. And so we bring children on the farm for experiences. We bring adults. Some of them are just like a simple tour. Some of them are hands-on workshops on compost, for example, or on, making cheese sometimes, since we have goats now. Preserved foods, that's like probably my favorite workshop ever, because, just people do it together, and they're having so much fun while they're not realizing that they're doing all the preservation for us for the year. Coring apples and, making like all the tomatoes, and so it's pretty awesome. They're really beautiful in time, and we started in the garden, absolutely, to do that with people. It was just so much fun, and in time we just learned what works, what doesn't. Okay, and so that's why we're able to teach others how could they do things like that. So not just growing food, but how can you be inventive about it. How many people have ever invited others in your garden or in your homestead or farm to teach? Okay, how many people desire to do that? Okay, cool. The rest of you really like to drink your margarita by yourself in the garden. Okay, and that's fine. That's great. There's so many opportunities. I think like when you invite people in, not only that there's an opportunity for income, for example, if you ever thought about that, but there's an opportunity to learn. So secretly, our most important point of inviting people in is to actually learn. There's so many people that we learn from, just because our conversations are interactive. Hey, how do you do this? Do you do this differently? How do you grow your tomatoes? And people also bring gifts, which I love. Okay, so let's see, where am I at? So we were able to get to this space to be able to grow a lot of food. We started with $0, some college debt on my wife's side. The first place that we started to do it in was in a backyard, in a place that we were renting. And then while I was actually teaching about it and consulting other people how to do it, which was fun. And so we grew almost every, I would say, 2 to 3 years. I want to say, who would be inspired to like run a type like this type of farm, like something that has so many like diverse things and bring the community in? Okay, a few hands. Okay, I'll go home. There's so many pieces of it. So we were able to kind of like move through the process to get from one size to another and scale up, but also to have each one of them work resiliently, right? Like do what we wanted it to do, which was produce a lot of amazing clean food for ourselves, for our family. Now we have 2 kids, and be able to make income, so I'm not gone all day at a job, for example. And I'm sure like a lot of you probably are thinking about that. Hey, how can I make my garden work for me? How can I spend as much time as possible in there? So we used the permaculture design process in 2 ways. One, to design the space itself, which I'm going to share with you today. And 2, to scale up from one size to another. Okay? So that was my approach. So I wanted to share that with you and kind of like what we learned in this 15 years of scaling up, getting to the point where we are right now. So what is permaculture? Because I saw that a lot of you responded that maybe this is like the first time. There's so many ways to speak about it, and I think like the easiest way is to say it's a whole systems design. We're not looking at things separately. We're looking at the whole system. Even if it's a garden that's 2,000 square feet, it's still an ecosystem, and it's inside of a bigger ecosystem. It's so hard to keep it. And so you can look at it as something like that. That's a whole system design approach. It's a decision-making framework to build resilience. And as I said, in our case, both for designing the small spaces that we were designing, but also stacked in time. Where do we want to go? And you'll see why that's important, okay? And so we're looking for, not for perfection, but we're looking for but we're looking for appropriate design for real life, because sometimes what happens in permaculture, there is a lot of teachers and practitioners out there that exaggerate, you know, what's possible, and a lot of people like get so excited to get on to do things and put permaculture in practice, and then they get so overwhelmed and so, you know, there's so much they don't even know where to start, how to restart, right? So it's important to kind of like follow a process that's been proven, that's been shown. So when you're choosing to use a process, I'm sure a lot of you have different types of jobs in different industries. There's always processes, right? So you don't want to look at processes that come from a place that's you know, it's just talking about it, but something that's proven, something that's shown, right? So us at Sun and Bloom Farms, what we did, we looked at what's out there, what are the best designers, what are their results, what are the common threads and common ideas, and what are they following, and where are they at in the process. From small gardens, there's a lot of permaculture designers that work mostly with like small gardens or operate from a small garden, but also homesteaders and then farmers. So we looked at that and we found a common thread. It's pretty interesting to see that the founding father of the concept, the philosophy, and the design process got it from the beginning. And it's because they went around the world and they talked to people from different places that were designing gardens, homesteads, farms, and spaces like that. And they found these common threads. And so what you're seeing on the screen right now is a universal definition of the permaculture design process, which is a whole system design process that's drawing from multidisciplinary sciences. Okay, there's a lot of science in the backyard, believe it or not. Soil science, air science, water science, bug science, worm science. And then also indigenous wisdoms from around the world. It's fun when you go and talk to people of different cultures and different languages with different histories, and you start to find these amazing common threads of how to build things that are resilient. Okay, and we can use that because that's why we have technology. That's why they left books behind. That's why we have all these videos, all these things out there. Okay, and so and then patterns in nature. Sometimes we see them on a daily, but we can't like really point them out. I have difficulty with certain patterns in nature that I know they exist. I've been talking about them, I've been teaching about them, but only recently some of them I was like, oh, that totally makes sense how these things work in nature and how I can use that to my advantage. Okay? Putting these things together, science as indigenous wisdom from around the world and patterns in nature, right, is providing kind of like this emerging kind of pathway and design, both philosophy but process also. Okay, so there's like a few things that are here on the screen. I'm not going to talk about them, but these are kind of like some lenses that we're looking through when we're designing from a small garden to a homestead and a farm. And some of them we start with ethics, kind of like doctors, right? You wouldn't want doctors to not have ethics. Who wouldn't want doctors to not have ethics? Oh, you guys would want doctors to not have any ethics? This was the time to put your hand up. Right? If you go to a doctor, would you want a doctor to have ethics if you go to get healed by a doctor? Great. Okay. The rest of you are doctors yourselves, I have a feeling. Right? So if we are to design something, ethics are important to that. And why do these ethics emerge in the design process? Is because, again, going around the world talking to all these different people and actually looking at the history of the world of different cultures and be like, oh, okay, we see what remained behind, we see what didn't, okay? And then there's also some principles, like when we're designing with permaculture, there are also like these emerging principles that if you are applying them from a small space to a big space, you're gonna get resilience. You're gonna get, what you're hoping to get, which is a healthy garden, a space that's producing food for you, that's also giving back to the ecosystem if that's where your spirit is at, and possibly making income too, without looking, over your shoulder, right? So for example, I'll give you one example and then I move next. There's one principle that's called stacking functions, which means if you're putting something in your landscape, think about how many functions can it achieve. I'll give you a really quick example. So for example, let's say the west side of your house, unless you're in the southern hemisphere. Anybody from the southern hemisphere here? Okay, cool, we're all in the northern hemisphere. So the west side of your house, would you all agree that most of the times if it's basically opened, and there's no shade or anything, it's the hottest part of the house? Would you agree? Put your hand up. Cool. So you would want to cool off that part of the house somehow, some way, right? So you may be blasting a lot of AC in there. That's going to cost you a lot of money. Some of us get super stuffy from AC. How many people get stuffy nose from the AC? Okay, I'm not the only one. Or we may be thinking, hey, let's kind of like reduce some of the sun that's entering the room. So you may be putting some kind of physical structure, right? Like some drapes or something. And that's their only function. The drapes are just shading, not allowing the sun in. Maybe they give you like some inspiration if it's like Bob Marley on the drapes or something, or some flowers for beauty or something like that. But it's one or two very small functions. Compared to if you go outside and you actually put a tree, and you put a deciduous tree that actually grows leaves in the summer to block that sun, right? And then it loses the leaves in the winter to let the sun in, because that's when you want the sun in, correct? Right. What if it's a fruit tree that you also get fruits from it? And you can think about it in so many more ways, because it's not just fruit for yourself that you can pick, but it's an ecosystem. You may be hearing birds singing. Now you can open your window and go, pew, 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 pew. Does that make you feel good? How many people feel good when you hear birds singing? Not my guinea fowl, because they're so loud. Okay, so that was like a simple example, okay? So, back to permaculture. It's not just gardening. It really asked us, how do water, soil, plants, animals, people, buildings, access, time, and money that you're investing or you're hoping to make out of your garden fit together, okay? So it's helping us in that way. Let me go to my next page here. I need to know what's next. So what's interesting, I said this earlier, but I'll show you the slide again. It can help plan and build resilience for any land projects at any scales. Backyards, neighborhoods, farms, communities. Okay, so absolutely it can do that. And so a lot of people go in these type of projects, but may feel stuck or may struggle, may have problem with it because, there's so many ideas that they want to put on the place. There's so many things that they may start doing and it's poor placement. They're not planning it right. They might not have the information or the education. I mean, where do you even start to learn about how to do a community garden, for example? And so, again, that's why the big shift from starting a project and being overwhelmed from a small garden to a homestead farm or big project is to follow, right, a systematic design process. And again, permaculture is offering that. So us at Sun and Bloom Farms, because I've been in this world for quite a while, I've taken a lot of permaculture courses out there, read a lot of the books, but also practice design and designing for people, for myself and for people, from big communities to small backyard gardens.
we put together a process ourselves, and it's just 10 steps, because if it was 9, it would have been like, 9 steps. If it was 11 steps, right? 10 steps sounds so good. Actually, you will realize that 2 of the steps could have been 1 together, but we had to make 10, okay? Because 10 sounds good. Does 10 sounds good to you? We're so, right? So don't worry about this entire process, because actually if you look at this sheet and if you go to our website or any of our social media, you'll find this. We give this for free for people to look at it. And again, it applies to anything that you would design, from a backyard to, we can design the planet with this process, absolutely. And again, it's inspired by multiple sciences, I would say multiple business, multiple business planning processes too, indigenous wisdom, and natural systems, natural patterns around the world. So the 10 steps are the green ones to the left, and here's what they are, and then I'm going to walk you through a few of them. I'm going to have you do an exercise if you want to do it. We'll give it like a minute. But basically each step, these are the 10 steps. The first one is to envision the future. What do you want to create? Does this sound familiar to anybody here? As a process, yeah. You start with, what do you want to achieve? What's your goal? What's the vision? What's the final destination, right? And so I'm gonna hold this in my hand because my neck is gonna be like this, right? So that's the first. That's you going in the future, and I'll walk you through that process and see why that's so important. If you don't formulate that end goal really well, you will be lost along the way. Who's experienced that before? Come on, put your hands up if you experienced that before. Like you want to do something, but you didn't sit down to put both of your hands up if you really messed up. Okay, just a few of you. The rest of you are perfect. Like everything was so smooth. I love it. Okay, so that's the future. Then we come to the present. And we're looking at what are we working with. So the second step is to actually look at who are we designing for. So if you're designing for yourself, I go with clients and do these really beautiful exercises that bring things to the surface they've never even thought about. And I love working with couples because I have to charge them extra for the therapy I give them. We do a values exercise. Have you ever done a values exercise? Personal values exercise? It's so awesome because what I find with people, the moment I step into the door, they're like, I want this amazing garden with a lot of trees and plants and irrigation and automation and some chickens, possibly a goat or 2. And then I get to talk to them, what's important to them, and kind of look deeply into their life, but they like to go to France every year for 2 weeks. So I ask them, how are we going to reconcile these 2 things? Or they have destructive kids like my 7 and my 4-year-old. How are we going to design? So these things, to understand the people that we're designing for, including inside of the community. I've worked with a lot of community gardens, like in pretty tough neighborhoods around the United States. And, we have to do an analysis, like, what do we want to do in the context of this neighborhood? Who are the people? How are they going to react to it? And how do we have to design so that it actually works? And then ask the people that drove that design and brought me into design for them if they want to commit to those things. So it's important that we look at that, okay? This comes from the concepts of holistic management. It's super awesome idea if you ever look into it, but holistic management when it comes to landscapes and agriculture, okay? Then we go to the place. So you see steps actually 3, 4, and 5 could have been just one step, but we want to start learning about the place. And you know what? I'm going too far with that. 3, 4, and 5, we're going to learn about the land. Can you see how most of the people, when they want to design a garden or a homestead or a farm, start with that first? Like looking at the land. What are we going to put here, here, and there? And skipping these 2 steps, I'm going to show you why, if you skip the envisioning and the analysis of the people, might be problematic, okay? And then after that, only after you do all of this analysis, And it could be done in a day. You can write notes in a notebook, probably like even in 3 hours if you really sit down to do this. Or you can really take your time and put a lot of details. And that's gonna help you as you move towards these next steps. Next, step number 6, you have constraints and opportunities. What can we not do? Or what might be hard to work against? What kind of opportunities do we have to do things? And then, only then you start to draw things, concepts. That's number 7. Only after you put some concepts on the paper, and I'll show you how they look like, do you want to go into like a detailed design. How many zinnias, how many apple trees, how many tomatoes plants, and how is the trellis going to look like, okay? Or where are we going to place them? So that's kind of like the idea. And then step 9, details. How am I going to plant the tomato? You should see some of these details that I've done for long-term gardeners, where I would put in a report even how to plant and care for a tomato. And they're like, man, I'm getting so much value out of this because I've watched 20,000 videos from around the world how to grow tomatoes. And so I was so confused. So here's like some simplicity. Why do you want to grow them like this? And again, it's context dependent. You don't grow tomatoes the same in Southern California, where I was for 13 years, versus Hawaii, where I was for 7 years, versus Missouri, where I've been for 5 years. And the recent hail could have taken all of my tomatoes out if they were out. So I'm not pushing the season. Okay, and only then, let's say, if you're doing some kind of community project, or you need to make sure that the husband or the wife is in with the design of the garden. How many people have had that kind of thing come up? Like you're the gardener and the wife possibly is not, or the other way. I see that couple there. I charge for couple therapy, just saying. I have a lot of graduates that actually are psychotherapists that came to do this training to include it in couples therapy. It works, man. Think about naked in the garden. So sometimes you may have to do that, which is another piece of it. Okay, so here's like a quick example why you don't want to skip step 1, which is the envisioning. Look at these 2 scenarios here, right? So you have a younger family that live on the land full time. So they want to live on the land full time, grow food, raise animals, host workshops, and generate stable income through value-added products. Can I see some people that are identifying with that? Put your hands up really high up. Okay, awesome. And then the second one, it's a more mature family. This is the same land, right? Let's say we're walking on the same land, but these are the 2 different type of people we're designing for. This is a more mature family. They travel often, they value privacy, and they want self-reliance food systems that required minimum labor and maintenance. Can you see if you identify with that? Okay, beautiful. So can you see that the same land, if you buy the same property with the same house, same layout, can you see how the design is going to be different just because of these needs? But if we don't put that together to start with and have it in front of us, we may be this young couple that wants to make all this money from the land, but end up having this automated systems that allow them to go to France, right? So it might be a problem. Or the other way around, a system that's too passive, that's focusing on specific things, but not on that production aspect of it, okay? So here's that, and then let's go. Who has a pen and paper? You want to put it up? How many of you want to do a little exercise to write down one of these things, like a mission for your project? How many people even have a project to put together? Okay, let's not do the exercise. If you're not putting your hands up, I can't see it. Put your hands up again. Okay, how many people want to do the exercise? Okay, how many people don't want to do the exercise? Nobody's putting their hands up. Okay, you'll be passive. I'm just going to share this with you if you want to take a picture of it. I also want to let you know that on our website, we do have a free resource on how to create vision, mission, and goals for your land project, if it's a small garden or if it's a homestead or a farm. And that's kind of like the beginning step. And we're offering that because we know it's so important, right? So here's kind of how that would look like. You would answer questions like this. And actually, if you sit down and you write these right now, you can actually do it really easily, right? So you would ask first, why does this project exist? And some people may say, to feed our entire family for the rest of our lives. Some people would say to make some income for us. Other people would say to feed the rabbits, the squirrels, the butterflies, and the bees and the bugs. How many people are in that space? Yeah, I'll design for you for free. Just throw some seeds in the garden. What does the project actually do? And again, you're coming back, like, what does it do? Does it feed us? Does it provide income for us? Does it make us happy? Right? So you kind of like, you're answering almost the same question. Who does it benefit? For some people, it may be the community because you're feeding the community. For some people, it may be the butterflies and the worms and the organisms in the soil. Put your hands up if you're in that space. Okay? For other people, it will benefit our children because we're going to leave them an amazing space, but we're going to charge them for it. Right? And then values. What principles shape how the project operates? You know, like, well, how would you answer that? Some people, and I work with a lot of them here in Missouri, would be Christian values. I had to really wrap my head around that. How am I going to reflect the Christian values in a garden? And so there's a lot of things to put in there. Some people want a big olive tree so they can teach under. And I say, I'm sorry, Missouri is going to be kind of hard. We do have some olive-less olive trees. So there's plenty of ways. I want to ask, how many people envisioned a cross when we talked about Christian values in a garden? Okay, cool. And you see how I went to the olive tree, right? So there's different ways to kind of like bring that to the surface. Can I hear from anybody else when I said that? What did you envision in the garden when I said Christian values in the garden, direct the garden design? What did you think about?
Glory, honor, and praise for the Creator of heaven and earth, who has charged us to take care of it.
Beautiful. So that would be a sign in the garden every time you walk. Somebody else said community. People would be in there, right? So we would, what else?
That was the first assignment God gave Adam.
Yeah. Tend to the garden. Start naming your tomatoes by your own name. You know, what's so beautiful is that all kinds of different values and all kinds of, you know, design parameters can be expressed in this way, right? If you sit down and you put these ways, because some of these principles that guide, you know, what's going to happen in the garden, they are also going to give us a lot of ideas how that's going to be expressed in there. Okay? I got 15 minutes. Okay.
You have 10, actually.
Okay, great. So I'm not going to go through how to create the vision, but this is very simply people just sitting down and close your eyes or don't close your eyes and start writing down what do you see in this space. And again, it could be from big ponds and solar panels and a lot of fruit trees to goats and a lot of children moving around and, you know, a space, a tent like this to teach workshops in. Okay, so that's kind of the thing. There's a process to it. So we teach it deeply in our courses how to kind of like go through that. Then you want to have some SMART goals. Maybe I'll stop at this really quick. A lot of people have like goals. I'm going to have a garden this year. That's not very smart because it's not specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound, right? So you can create goals like that. And so if I had more time, I would teach you how to do that. But those are important. You know, the first garden will be planted this year by July 5th with all of my neighbors that I'm going to invite to a pizza party and feed them pizza and give them tea. Does it sound kind of like a SMART goal? Kind of, right? And then you have to make another goal. I'm going to send the emails out by whatever date so that, right? So you have SMART goals. So you see how this could kind of be important in a design process. If you see it, would you put your hand up? Putting like pretty exact goals rather than just like, you know. Let's see. This was, I wanted to show you how, and I told you already that in this step 2, when we're looking at the people, We want to design for real life, so we do value exercises. You can find very simple. You go on Google, not you because you're not using any of the internet or anything, right? You go and find all the books in the library on value exercises, which you'll find them very easily. There's probably a huge section on that. Everything about, anyway, self-help books and such. And this is actually where this is borrowed, because people get like big realizations about it. And then you can also do 8 forms of capital analysis. Because most people, when you design a garden and you're ready to build a garden, what kind of capital are you thinking about right away? Money, cash. But there's all kinds of capital you have. Do you have social capital, like friends that you can invite to help you? Put your hands up. Do you have friends? Yeah. Do you have friends that like the garden? Do you like friends who like pizza? How about vegan pizza with good stuff on it? Maybe not, right? Do you have friends that like steak and they're big and they could really dig holes in your garden? Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of the idea that you're going through an analysis like that. Let's see, in step 3, you want to really understand your environment. And there's a few pictures here. This is just understanding that there's a big difference between designing a garden in the rural space versus the suburbia, let's say. When it comes to access to people, to resources, to things that you may be needing to design with, okay? But there are more things that you would want to know. Besides opportunities, there's also constraints. Here's what you would run into if you were to design in one particular system than the other. In step 3, you absolutely, and this is information that's free. This is before you even walk on the land that you're designing and try to envision things. Understand climate, understand rain, understand native plants, understand native animals and their behavior. And you know what? I do it for my kids. You know what? I go to YouTube and I say, weather in Missouri for children. Ta-da! There's a video about it. Bioregion plants for children in Missouri. Papa, there's like simple if you're that kind. Or you can go deeply, because there's almost every single place in this country has some kind of like botanical garden or some type of organization that talks about the environment. So this is something important to understand before we put the type of, things in the garden that may be eaten by all of the bug and animal life in the area. So we would want to understand that, okay? Let's see, in step 4 and 5, this is finally when you walk the land and you're looking specifically at it. How is water moving here? How is the sun in the sky? Where could possible dangers exist in this space from wildlife or fires or neighbors or, any kind of things that may harm your project, okay? So this is something, but also things that may create amazing opportunities for it. I'm not going to go through that. Step 6, you stop and you do a reality check. This is the best step ever, because sometimes the vision, mission, and goals may kind of like be different right now. Where you started with throwing some raised beds and 2 fruit trees in your backyard, but now you learned about all constraints and opportunities. Now you may either do just 1 raised bed and 5 fruit trees, or nothing at all. Just flowers, just wildflowers, which can happen sometimes. Only then do you sit down and use your notebook and start to say, this is where I'm going to put my compost, this is where I'm going to put my goats, this is where I'm going to put my, rain tanks, let's say, for example. This is where I'm going to put my community space. So this is one of my very simple designs. I use like free tools online to do them, and you can do them too. But they start on a notebook with a pencil. I should have put that picture here so you can see. It's a mess. You can't even understand. Plus, I write it in 3 or 4 different languages too, which is crazy. Okay. So here's another one. I just designed a 50-acre farm here in Jefferson City. That's going to be a really beautiful place that invites people in, produces food, and has a lot of events. And only from going from that kind of like conceptual bubbles that you write, this is where I'm going to put the different things, only then you go to a more, detailed design to show exactly where you're going to put your rows of tomatoes, your rows of flowers, your compost, your chickens, your parking, if it's a community event for a community space, right? Instead of trying to start with this, let me see, show of hands again. Who started with the details when you planned a garden or a farm or a homestead before? I can see that, absolutely. I did the exact same thing when I first did it too, right? So you see how we get to the details only by truly having this holistic analysis. And so then you can also take each element one by one and really describe the process. Why did I put the tank here? Give the rationale. Because it's beautiful, or whatever the rationale is. This is where I can catch water. But also explain what materials you'll use, where you're gonna buy them, who you're gonna hire to install it, and how it's gonna be installed, if you can find that information and you're interested to put that together. Also, if you need to pitch it to the community, like I'm doing right now to my local community, I'm inviting people in. This is Sun and Bloom Farms, the Permaculture Farm School Village. I'm inviting people in to come and work with us and partner with us. Right? You may have to do a presentation. So there's also a process to that. So here's what I'm inviting you, and this is perfect, and I know I don't have time for too much conversation, but if you wanted to learn more, if this kind of landed in a space with you and you're inspired by this, of course, by no means, take a look out there. There's a lot of knowledge. Sun and Bloom Farms also has a lot of free resources that you can tap into. I do a lot of videos. You'll see me walking. There's my goats. Here's why I'm not milking them today. The baa was kind of weird today. So let me tell you why that was. And I can send you in a rabbit hole about the baa that the goat made that day. So we have a lot of free resources, but we also invite people to learn in different ways. So we have 3 different ways you can engage with us. One, we have a beautiful deep dive. It's a 10 days. You come on the farm. You get to see all of the systems working: soil, water, animals, plants, community. You see everything that we do, and you get to learn with us in person. It's very, very powerful. Or you can do it online on your own step. Right now I'm working with a few different people for this year, but it starts again in 2027. It's really deep dive. I mean, it's almost like getting a PhD in permaculture if you want to, and if you have the time and you want to put it. But you can do it also if you don't have the time for like really deep dive. Or you can invite us to help you design your space. And so if you wanted to take the 5 minutes to come and talk to me between this presentation and the next, I'll be right there. And also you can scan that QR code to find our website. So thank you so much.